so we didn't finish all the Mishnah Berurah on Seif Beis. We were talking about the laning, the order of the aliyahs in the laning. So we're on Reish Pei Hey Amid Aleph. We're in Siman Tav Chav Gimel, and we're in the Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Gimel. So we spoke about yesterday the minig that we have to break up the aliyahs in Rosh Chodesh, which is we take the first 8 psukim. From those first 8 psukim, we give the first 3 to the Kayin. We repeat pasuk number 3, pasuk Gimel. We repeat for the Levi. We give the Levi 3 psukim, so that takes care of 6 psukim. And then the Shlishi gets the last 2 psukim of the first parsha. He gets the last 3 psukim of the first parsha, and then he gets the 2 psukim of Uviyom HaShabbos. So he gets a total of 5 psukim, and then the Revi gets from Uvarashei Chachechem until the end. Now in Ois Katan Gimel, he brings down another minig. Revi Karei Uvarashei Chachechem. V'das Habach, the Bach disagrees here. V'das Habach u'Pri Chadash. Sheyoser Tov l'Sayim Lashlishi ad Ubiyom HaShabbos. He says that the Bach says that what you do is the Kayin reads the first 3 psukim, right? L'Sayim Lashlishi ad Ubiyom. So the Kayin gets the first 3 psukim. The Levi gets the next 3 psukim. Okay, so now you've used up 6 psukim. The Yisrael. No, I'm sorry. The Kayin gets, like we do, Aleph, Beis, and Gimel. Right. The Levi gets Gimel, Dalet, and Hey. Right. The Yisrael gets Vav, Zayin, and Ches. Okay. You have 8 psukim. Yeah, right. So you go from the beginning to Uviyom HaShabbos. You're getting 3 aliyahs. So now we didn't want to do that. The reason we don't want to do that is because we said that if you're going to stop by Uviyom HaShabbos, right? We said you don't want to stop by Uviyom HaShabbos because then people are going to think that if somebody leaves now, he's going to think that the next Oila is only reading 2 psukim. Right? So they each get 3 psukim.
Why should you think this way? He sees how Yisrael is standing there.
Right? We said... Right? The Bach is saying the Kayin gets Aleph, Beis, and Gimel, the Levi gets Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Yisrael gets Vav, Zayin, and Ches. You stop at Uviyom HaShabbos. And then the Revi is going to start from Uviyom HaShabbos and lay the whole
way till the end.
Over Roshei Chachechem. He's going to go all the way back, all the way to the end.
What's the difference?
Now, the Bach, I remember, said that he likes this way better, because the Bach didn't like our minig that the Revi starts by Ubaroshe Chachechem, because the Bach said if somebody comes in late and he sees that the Revi is starting by Ubaroshe Chachechem, he's going to assume that the Shlishi started from Uviyom HaShabbos and only laying 2 psukim. That's what the Bach didn't like about our minig. So the Bach said, instead, we'll have the Revi start from Uviyom HaShabbos and go all the way to the end. Now, we didn't like that.
Well, why is the elephant in the room not asked? Rosh Chodesh comes up every single month.
Right.
So who's going to be thinking that if you have a Mahalach, whatever way that
Why are we so...
Number 2, we have to worry about the latecomers.
Well, that's you see. There we don't have. There we have a problem because that's a Gemara. The problem is that the problem is that that's based on a Gemara. It was the Gemara in Megillah gives these basic guidelines of where you could stop and where you can't stop based on the fear of people coming early and people coming late. So we can't get away from the Gemara. Now you'll ask me, why is the Gemara so afraid of it? My answer to you would be that we have to put ourselves in the shoes of the Zman Gemara. We're used to having a community like this and having a big shul and having a minyan factory and having... If you put yourself into a different reality where it's a small kehillah, right, and there's one place to daven and it's maybe an agrarian society and people get there and people don't get there and people are late and this and that and amaratzim, it's a different reality, I think, than the reality that we have. But I'm just trying to remember, we didn't want to do this Levi Kedak Shlosh Psukim, Lo Yishnar B'Parsha El Shnei Psukim, V'Karmel and Demi Shnei Shnei Psukim Le'er Parsha Lo Zeh. Like the Levi Parsha Lo Kem Levi, V'Shlish Revi Yikru Parsha Tzvi Shabbos Parsha Chodesh. That also didn't work. Yeah. So our minig doesn't really address the Bach. Why don't we want to do what the Bach does? I don't know why we don't want to do what the Bach does.
It seemed like the first part when you said yesterday or 2 days ago was that the first two. I'm just repeating what the Rav said.
Yeah.
That you were there. They seemed to be more concerned about the Kohen and the Levi that they wouldn't have the Kohen that he wouldn't have a machshav of not having the 3 psukim. So therefore, you go back and you do it with the Levi. And that
No, what?
The Kohen has the 3.
Yeah, the problem that we had, the Iker problem, the problem that the Mishnah Berurah spelled out in Ice Cut and Bays is, what are you going to do? You're going to give the Kain 3, and then you're going to give the Levi the next 3. You can't do that, because now you're stopping with only 2 left to the Parsha. And if you stop with only 2 left to the Parsha, if somebody leaves after the Levi's Aliyah, he's going to assume that the Shlishi is only laning 2 psukim.
Why is it 2 left? Why don't you go further?
In which case?
You give the Kohen 3.
Give the Kohen 3. Yeah.
And Yisrael, you give 5, whatever.
Well,
Till a Grushach HaShechem.
no, because you can't stop. The problem is you give the Kohen 3, then you give the Levi 3.
Right.
So the Levi's Aliyah is ending when there's only 2 psukim left to the end of the Parsha.
We're going further.
No. Right now,
Is a different Parsha?
right now the Levi makes his bracha. His Aliyah finishes. How many psukim are left? 2. Till the end of the Parsha.
Yes.
No, there's a psucha over there. The Parsha ends by Uviyam HaShabbos, by right before Uviyam HaShabbos. That's a psucha. So the Parsha ends over there.
What's worse? To repeat again a psucha?
That's not a problem. So we're repeating a pasuk.
Or you go further.
No. We're gonna go further. But that doesn't help.
Why do we have to do this whole thing with repeating a psucha?
You see, you're not hearing me. The problem is this: you have a chumash.
I think it's the Indian.
No, you see,
Better to use a regular
take a
chumash
chumash.
so you can see the psicha.
Right. Take a chumash. Take a chumash. See, here's the thing. See, if you take a look, go to Parshas Pinchas and go to Chamishi. You have Chamishi?
Yep.
Okay. So we're starting from Pasuk Aleph. Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Lemer Tzavis Bnei Yisrael.
Okay.
Go down to turn the page and go to Pasuk Ches.
Right.
After Pasuk Ches,
Right.
there's a psucha over there before Uviyam HaShabbos. That's the end of a parsha.
So you can't learn 2 Parshas?
No, you can. But what's going to happen if you give the Kayin 3 Elias? The Kayin is going to lane through Pasuk Gimel.
Okay.
Now the Levi is going to lane
Dalet,
Dalet, Hey, and Vav. Right? Well, the
Yeah.
Levi's Aliyah is going to end L'Rech Nichayach Ish Al Hashem.
It's not a bad one.
Right?
not a bad end.
Right? That's where it ends.
Okay.
Now Pliny Almighty gets up, he has to go make the train, he leaves.
Okay.
He looked in his Chumash and he sees that all there is left to this parsha is Pasuk Zayin and Pasuk Ches.
No, we can go further.
No, but the parsha ends at Pasuk
It's a
Ches.
subject. It's a section.
The section, there's a psucha in the Sefer Torah. There's a gap in the Sefer Torah over there. So this guy is going to assume,
You can't go, you give him
you know, but this guy is going to make a mistake, and he's going to assume, oh, the end of the parsha is there. I guess the next aliyah is going to the end of the parsha.
We know that the Parshas, the Shani Shlisha Mission was put together by.
Yeah, but we're not talking. But we're not talking about Sheni Shlishi Chamishi.
So
We're talking about the psuchas and the stumas that are in the Sefer Torah.
Yes.
This guy is going to assume that the next aliyah is going to end at the psucha. It's going to end at Pasuk Tes, and that's Shaloi Kalachi. You're not allowed to have 2 psukim.
Give him 2 portions. Sometimes a coin gets.
I know, but the guy's not going to realize that. He's going to think the aliyah ends at the end of the parsha. And it's based on Gemara. This is what the Gemara says. The Gemara says that we're afraid of such mistakes. Yeah.
This is the only time where we repeat one pusing again.
Just about.
Unusual, huh?
It's very
It's
unusual.
unusual.
It's very unusual. So the Bach, so the way we're fixing it is we're going 3, then we're repeating one pasuk, we're going another 3, then we're giving the Shlishi, he's getting Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes, and Yud. He's getting 5
How
psukim.
can you go to another parsha? Same question.
No, you're missing, Moshe, you're missing. It's not, there's no problem going into another parsha. You're allowed to go into another parsha. It's not a problem. There's no problem. The problem is that this guy is going to make a mistake, and he's going to think that the aliyah is going to end over there. He's going to look at his chumash, he's taking off his tefillin, he's getting ready to go to the train, he sees that, okay, this aliyah ended Isha Hashem, oh, look at that, Pasuk Zayin and Pasuk Ches, and then there's the end of the parsha, wow, the next aliyah is probably going to end over there. He's only going to have 2 psukim. And he leaves, and he goes to the train. And now, 6 months later, somebody asks him, are you allowed to have an aliyah with only 2 psukim? And he says, yeah, I remember on Rosh Chodesh I was in shul, and it looked like the shlishi was only getting 2 psukim. Of course you could lane into another parsha. This guy's making a goof. He's making a mistake. And we're worried about that mistake.
We can repeat like we repeated the first one.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that. The whole thing is based on a lack of knowledge. You know, so we're fixing it this way. What the Bach is saying, do different. The Bach is saying do Aleph Beis Gimel, then do Daled Hey Vav, right? Then after you do Daled Hey Vav, no, do Aleph Beis Gimel, then do Gimel Daled Hey, like we do. But then instead of doing then Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes, and Yud, instead of doing that, do Vav, Zayin, and Ches. Stop over there, and give the last aliyah from Uvayom HaShabbos all the way to the end. Why does the Bach like that better? The reason the Bach likes that better is because he says our way, that we're going to give the Shlishi all the way until Uvaroshe Chachechem, you might have another yotz. Another guy walks in right before the Revi, and he says, oh, Revi started from Uvaroshe Chachechem? So Shlishi probably started from Uvayom HaShabbos. So Shlishi probably only got 2 psukim. So same problem. We're both are concerned with some kind of mistake that somebody who's leaving early or somebody who's coming late is going to make. 2 different ways to skin the cat. 2 different ways to solve the problem. Okay. So that's Uvedas HaBach, Ubrichodesh Yosef Tov L'Sayim L'Shlishi Adu B'Yom HaShabbos, V'Revi Yikru B'Yom HaShabbos and Seif HaKriya. Achein Mipri Megadam Atrish Adif Lazis Kimin Ogein. V'da Oid HaGra Chaylik HaIkr Dina De Mechaber. The Gra had a totally different way of approaching this. Oladaitai Seder HaKriya B'Rish Chodesh Hu Kain. Kain Karish Shlosh Psukim. The Kain gets 3. V'Halevi Chamisha Ad Seif HaParsha. The Levi goes all the way to Uvayom HaShabbos. V'Shlishi Chayzer V'Karei Shlosh Psukim. The Shlishi repeats the last 3 psukim. Achreinu b'Parsha Shekar V'Karei B'Yom HaShabbos Ad Parsha D'Rosh Chodesh V'Revi Karei b'Parsha D'Rosh Chodesh. And the Revi gets over Rosh Chachechem. V'Ayin B'Bir Halacha, where he goes into this in greater detail. I believe in Chaim Berlin they do the Das HaGra. But
that's where you messed up.
And that's where I got yelled at. Because
I
I should have known.
And if somebody comes in when there's living Yom HaShabbos, he has the same problem.
Yeah. Okay, weiter. So now let's go to Sif Gil. So now we've finished laning. So now we're up to after laning. Says the Mechaber, Omer Kaddish. This is a reference to the Chatzi Kaddish after Kriyas HaTorah. V'ashrei uvolotzion. Then you say Ashrei uvolotzion. Ve'ein oimrim yancha Hashem b'yom tzara. And you don't say Lam Natseach. And the reason you don't say Lam Natseach, the Levush says, is because we said before that Rosh Chodesh is Ikri Mayid. It's called a Mayid. And on a Mayid, you don't say Lam Natseach.
Why does that capital Tehillim so, like, I mean, it seems very uplifting to me. You're asking Hashem.
Yancha Hashem b'yom tzara.
Can't say the words b'yom tzara.
Yeah, can't be b'yom tzara. So ve'ein oimrim yancha Hashem b'yom tzara because it's because it's a mayid. Now, I'm not sure why the Mechaber doesn't say this, but he doesn't put in the next Kaddish. You have a Chatzi Kaddish after Ashrei Uvolotzion. Nobody's chaylik on that, and the Mechaber just doesn't mention it. So Ashrei Uvolotzion, ve'ein oimrim yancha Hashem b'yom tzara, u'machzer sefer Torah l'mekaymai. This is the Nusach Svard. right? You put the Sefer Torah back after Asher V'Olotzion. The Ashkenaz put it back already before. V'oimdim lehispal tfilas musaf, and then you have the Shtul Shmona Esrei of musaf. Let's stop here for a second. Let's go into the Mishnah Berurah. Eis Katan Daled. Omer Kaddish. After laning, you're going to say Kaddish. Hainu achatzi Kaddish omer mal habima ala Sefer Torah. This is the Chatzi Kaddish that you say after Kriyas HaTorah. V'achakach Ashrei V'Olotzion. Then you say Ashrei V'Olotzion. And the Chavetz Chaim makes the point, V'chatzi Kaddish b'shvil apsukim shal Ashrei V'Olotzion. After Ashrei V'Olotzion, you have a Chatzi Kaddish before Musaf, which the Mechaber didn't mention.
Usually you have a Kaddish Shulam usually.
Well, usually on a normal day, we would have Kaddish Shalom after Ashrei V'Olotzion, because that's the Kaddish Shalom that goes back on Shachris. But we already closed off Shachris after Hallow. After Hallow, we said Kaddish Shalom with Tiskabel to close off Shachris. Interesting halacha, by the way, that a lot of people don't know. On a regular day during the week, you're davening with a minyan, and you have a very small minyan, and a couple of people have to run out after Chazaras Hashatz, and now you only have 7 people left, and now you're saying Ashrei V'Olotzion. After Ashrei V'Olotzion, you could say Kaddish Shalom without a minyan, because that Kaddish Shalom is going back on the Shemona Esrei. So, with the Evid, you could say Kaddish Shalom over there.
How come the Ramah doesn't say the Chatzi Kaddish?
I don't know. I'm very puzzled by the fact that this Chatzi Kaddish isn't mentioned. I tried to look into it and find a reason why it's not mentioned, and I didn't find it.
The Chatzi Kaddish or no?
Everybody is going to say that Chatzi Kaddish, sure.
Before this, yes.
Yeah, I don't know why that Chatzi. I don't know why that. I mean, and the Mishnah Berurah makes the point of mentioning it over here. And I thought maybe there would be something mentioned in the Shahar Tzion. How come the Mechaber doesn't mention it, the Ramah doesn't mention it? I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't have an explanation right now. So V'achkach Ashrei V'Olotzion v'chatzi Kaddish v'shul psukim shel Ashrei V'Olotzion. Then Eis Katan Hey u'machzir Sefer HaTorah. And then after Ashrei V'Olotzion, you're putting back the Sefer. U'v'mekaymenu, says the Chavetz Chaim, in our areas in Lita, haminig shemachzir na Sefer Torah laheichal miyad achar kriyah. We would put the Sefer Torah back right after Kriyas HaTorah, which is Nusach Ashkenaz. Then we go for Oimdim Lehispal Tfilas Musaf, is Katan Vav. Now he just brings down over here that there are some different minhagim in the Nusach of Tfilas Musaf. V'yesh eze shinui nuschos. There are some differences that you'll find in what the proper Nusach for Musaf is. Yesh garsin zikaron lechulam hayu. Some people say in the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, Zikaron l'chulam hayu. There was, in past tense, a Zikaron for everyone, and that's a reference to the Zman HaMikdash. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, when they brought Karbanos and they brought the Sa'ir Shal Rosh Chodesh, so it was a Zikaron l'chulam. V'yesha garsim Zikaron l'chulam yiyu. That there will be a Zikaron now also, because we're davening, and we're mentioning the Karbanos in our Tefillah. V'yesh aimrim zikaron l'chulanu yihiyeh, which is also now. Ve'ein l'shanu sheminig, and says the Chavetz Chaim, you shouldn't change the minig. Whatever the minig is, that's what you should do.
What's the difference between Chilam and L'chuluni?
I don't know. L'chulam is all of them. L'chulanu is all of us. Tzarech loymar u'minchasam v'niskehem. You have to say, when you mention the Karbanos, you have to say Umin Chasam and Iskeim, the Karban Mincha that went together with the Karban Musaf, and the Nesachim of Yayin that went together with the Karban Musaf. La Fuke Mimanda Amar She'en Laimar V'Niskehem. There was an opinion that you shouldn't say V'Niskehem. Yesha Kasvu Shetzarech Laimar Es Musaf. There's the Es Musaf Yom Rosh HaChodesh Hazeh. The Yesha Kasvu Shetzarech Laimar V'Es Musaf. Does it go, is it a continuation in the tefillah, or is Es Musaf Yom HaShabbos Hazeh, Yom Rosh Chodesh Hazeh, is that a new piece of the tefillah? V'yesh HaKadosh Zaveh. V'chein yesh Oimrim L'chaparas Pasha. This is very interesting. We have in the Elokeinu V'Elokeinu the same portion of the Shemona Esrei, L'Toiva V'Levracha, L'Saseinu L'Simcha, L'Yeshua L'Nechama, L'Parnasa L'Chalchala, and you have this phrase also of L'chaparas Pasha, a keeper of Avainos. So look at the different minhagim here. V'chein yesh aimrim l'chaparas pasha. There were those that said l'chaparas pasha all year round. V'yesh she'enam aimrim rak b'shnas ibur. Some only say it in an ibur year. Why did they say it in an Ibriyar? Because without a L'Kaparas Pasha, you have 12 phrases. With a L'Kaparas Pasha, you have 13. So they only added a L'Kaparas Pasha when we have 13 months in the year. Va'afilu b'shnasa ibur, and then when it is a Ibriyar, there are also different minhagim. Yesh she'ena ma'imra ma'isai ela ad klois chaydesh ha'ibur da'inu ad chaydesh adar. There are those that said it only until the end of Adar. You settle a kaparas pasha until the end of the extra month. At the end of the extra month, no more kaparas pasha.
So just that 1 month?
No, from Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, right? Not Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, because Rosh Chodesh Tishrei you don't daven this davening. Rosh Chodesh Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah. So you have Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, Kislev, Teves, and Shvat. For those and Adar. For those 5 months, you would say L'Kaparas Pasha. And then starting Rosh Chodesh Nisan, you wouldn't say Kaparas Pasha anymore.
And if it's 2 others?
So,
No,
that's 2 others. Until the end of Adar Sheni.
How do they start with Tishrei or Cheshvan in this case and not Nisan?
Because the year starts with Rosh Hashanah in this regard. Now, why would you stop after Adar? The reason that's brought out to stop after Adar is because the key reason that you're saying L'Kaparas Pasha is as a reminder that there's an Ibriyar. Once the Ibriyar is over, once you already were Ma'abra the Shana, you already had Adar Sheni, we don't have to remind you anymore that there's an Adar Sheni. So now we could drop L'Kaparas Pasha.
And Adar Sheni is considered like the Adar, right? In other words, if you're a bar mitzvah boy, you get bar mitzvah on the second Adar.
Yeah, you're asking the right person. We don't have time for that story now. But
when he's
yeah.
born.
If you're born in a pshuta, if you're born in a shana pshuta with this one adar, then your bar mitzvah and your bar mitzvah falls out in an ibriyar, then your bar mitzvah is an adar sheni. If you're born in an ibriyar, so then whenever your bar mitzvah, whenever it is. And if you're born in adar rishon, and then if there's an ibriyar, you would make your bar mitzvah an adar rishon. Okay.
That way you can have a twin that was born technically in the first moments of Adar Sheni,
right,
and have his bar mitzvah a whole month before.
So it's a great story. I don't have time for it right now. Those are going to fall behind. But I was born in a shana pshuta, and through a mistake that somebody made, my bar mitzvah initially was celebrated in Adar Rishon, and then we had a do-over basically in Adar Sheni. It's a great story. We'll get to it. Uvachol ela nara upashte. Either way, each river, that's what this means literally, nara upashate, each river should follow its own course. Which means when it comes to the questions of these nuschais, you do what the minig hamakim is. The chalechad yasik minig hamakim. In hispal tefillah shemaina esrei bimkaim musaf. Let's say you got up to daven musaf and you were fadrimelt, and you had to chen das and and you catch yourself, you're up to Hashiva Sheftein when you realize you're davening the wrong shemaina esrei. Lo yotza, you're not yotza tefillas musaf. Afilu hizkir yalav yavai. Even if you say yalav yavai, v'sarch lazar or l'spal, because you didn't mention the musaf. What did you accomplish? You didn't mention the karbonos musaf. I see. I made a note over here. I referenced footnote number 10. I think what he spoke about. They spoke about what happens if you remember in middle. V'em nizkar kaidem shasiyem es tfilasai. You're in the middle of the davening. You're in the middle of a shiva sheftenu. And you realize that, oops, I'm supposed to be davening musaf. So you go back right away. You start saying Rosh Chodesh. You go back to the first bracha of Rosh Chodesh. Let's say in the middle of a shiva sheftenu, you realize, hey, I'm supposed to be davening musaf. Do you finish that bracha that you're in the middle of or not? This is 10. You should stop in the middle of the bracha. Mishnah Okay. So that's what you would do.
So you stop in the middle, you don't say the end of the bracha.
No.
And if you don't say L'Chaparas Pasha, you don't...
No.
Nothing.
V'atam the tzark lahaskir karbonis and musafin. The reason you're not yotzes is because you didn't mention the carbon musaf. Miuim amar ba'akas min abrachas ki yiratze shenasa lefanecha chavisenu b'tmida yoyim u'b'karbon musaf yatzo k'talael b'simin reish samachesiv dalet. If you stuck in this phrase in the middle of your Shemona Esrei. I'm down in the wrong Shemona Esrei. You wrote Shenasa Lefanachach. You say to between the Yom will become Musaf. So you would be Yaitza. Why you would do that, I don't know. Okay, now let's go back to the Mechaber. We're at Ois Cotton Zion for the Mishnah Berurah in the Mechaber. Umachzer Shliach Tzibur Atfila. After you daven the Shtil Shemona Esrei of Musaf, the Chazan is going to do Chazar Sashatz. Va'aymer Keser. And again, we have here Nusach Sfard. And you're going to say Keser Yitnu Lecha. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cotton Zayin, V'aymer Keser, Hainu Lefi Minig B'nei Sfarad. That's Nusach Sfard. V'anu B'nei Ashkenaz, Ayrim Nekadesh, Kavay B'tfila Shachris. Kishemagia, the Mechaber continues, Kishemagia L'Maloicha La'aretz Kavaydai, you say, Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvakris, V'Maloicha La'aretz Kavaydai, Aymer L'Umasa Meshadach Chivayaymer. Again, Nusach Sfard. Kemai b'kedusha shachris, like a regular shachris kedusha. V'achar shesiyam chazaras atfila, when you finish chazaras hashatz, Omer kaddish. This is going to be kaddish shalem. You're going to say kaddish shalem on tfilas musaf. V'omer mizmar barchi nafshi es Hashem, and then we say barchi nafshi. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois kat ches, Omer kaddish.
That's Ashkenaz already. You say the yom and barchi nafshi at the end.
Well, he didn't mention. He didn't mention. Oh, you say it after Shachris.
Yes.
You say it after Shachris.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. You're right. You're right.
Now
Now he's saying it's Kafi Nusach Ashkenaz. You're right. Ches hainu Amar Kaddish hainu Kaddish Shalom im Tiskabel b'Shvil HaTfilah. Tes v'Amar Mizbar Barchi Navshi. Why do we say Barchi Navshi? Mishum denizker by Mikra the Yareach Asa L'Mayadim. We give shvach to the Rebbeinu Shalom that you made the moon that controls the months and controls the Yom Tovim, because the Yom Tovim go according to the lunar calendar. Because of Magen Avram, the B'ktas B'kaimais Ein Oimrim Oisai. In some places they didn't have the minute to say it. The whole question is an interesting question of, do you say the Yom and Barchi Nafshi, or do you say just Barchi Nafshi? The Gra only said Barchi Nafshi. Same thing on Chanukah, he only said Mizvah Shechanukah Sabayis David, didn't say the Yom. Right, some people don't say Barchi Nafshi at all.
Right.
But the Gra only said Barchi Nafshi. He held that Barchi Nafshi was the Shira Shal Yom in the Beis HaMikdash, and it displaced the regular Shira Shal Yom. And based on that, there's also a question of those who do Kifi Minig Agra, should they say Hayom Yom Rishon Shabai HaLevim Omer Beis HaMikdash Barchi Nafshi? Because it was the Shir Shal Yom, was Barchi Nafshi. But you can't say Yom Rishon Shabai HaLevim Omer, because it's not because it's Yom Rishon, it's because it's Rosh Chodesh. So maybe you should say Hayom Rosh Chodesh Shabai HaLevim Omer Beis HaMikdash. So there's all sorts of interesting questions with this, but our minig is that we say the Yom and we say Barchi Nafshi. Okay, Siv Daled. Noihagim lachloitz tefillin kisharoitzim lehispal al musaf. We have the minig to take off tefillin before we daven musaf. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut yud on the bottom of the page. V'atam, the reason we take the tefillin off is the kamoy de'ein manichim tefillin b'yom tov mishum sheyom tov ba'atzmai ois. We don't put on tefillin on yom tov because yom tov itself is an ois. Is there a Mishnah Berurah in this room?
Shabbos is also.
I wanted to read to you. Yes, there is. Shabbos is a nice. Right. So we don't put on tefillin on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Aleph. Wanted to read to you the lashon of the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Lamed Aleph. The very nice lashon about Yom Tov being an ice and the contradiction. And so what? So why is that a problem? Yom Tov is an ice and tefillin is an ice. So why can't you wear tefillin? What's the problem?
Two ices.
So he says over here.
I think Mila is what
Here, the Mechaber says it's Siman Lamed Aleph. B'Shabbos v'Yom Tov asur lahaniach tefillin. Mipnei shehem atzmam ois, because Shabbos and Yom Tov are an ois. V'manicha behem ois acher, if you would put on tefillin, which is another ois, hayazilzul la'ois shalahem. Now you're denigrating the fact that Shabbos and Yom Tov is an ois, because what you're doing in a sense is, you're saying the ois of Shabbos and Yom Tov is not enough. I need tefillin also. So the Mishnah Berurah over here says, shehem atzmam ois bein HaKadosh Baruch Hu ubein Yisrael. the Shabbos and Yom Tov serve as an ice of the relationship between us and the Rabbeinu Shalom. Shenemar ki ois hi beini uvein b'nei Yisrael. Shabbos is an ice that we have a relationship. The Yom Tov gam ke mikri ice. Yom Tov is also an ice. The Pesach Mitzrayim ksiv ice. By Pesach it says ice. V'hukshu kol me'adei Hashem beparshas Emor. Ois acher, deine Tefillin diksivu v'ha'yalecha la'ois al yodecha. Tefillin is an ois. Hayazilzal, it would be a denigration of the ois of Shabbos and Yom Tov. V'gam, oiver mishum lav de Bal Tosef. You would be over on Bal Tosef. V'hu she'nichan l'shei mitzvah. If you put them on l'shei mitzvah. Ava b'mnichat shaloi l'shei mitzvah, ein boi mishum Bal Tosef. You don't have Bal Tosef. When do you put on tefillin l'shaloi l'shei mitzvah? You put on tefillin l'shaloi l'shei mitzvah. Or if on Shabbos you're walking somewhere and you find tefillin in the street, how do you get them home if you don't have an eruv? You put them on. Right. So now you're putting it on shaloi l'shei mitzvah. But this is the concept of we don't have two oisais at one time. Yeah. V'atam t'kamay day manichet tefillin b'yontav b'shem sheyontav b'atzvay. Ois k'may kain yesh linay b'reish chaydish al kalpanim b'shas musif shem azkirim musfei hayoim. When we're mentioning the carbon musif, so then we don't want to wear tefillin. The oisa zechira gam keinu ke'ein ois, because that also serves as an ois. We're bringing a special carbon on a special day to the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's also like an ois, so we don't wear tefillin. The kasav apri begadim sheyesh lachlayt tefillin beuvalet tzion kaidem yihirotzain shenishmar chukecha v'yesh dayagim rak lachlayt tzarituais maya etzba kaidem yihirotzain miu kol zeh b'reish chaydish. Ava b'chalamayid shu Yom Tov Gomer Chalamayid, which is a real Yom Tov, yesh l'chotzim kainam halal. Those who wear tefillin on Chalamayid should take them off before halal. Another reason that's brought down why we don't wear tefillin is because we say keser. So that's another reason why we don't, because we're saying keser yitnu lecha. We're telling the Rabbeinu Shalom, you should be given a crown. So then it doesn't pass for us to be wearing a crown. And tefillin is like a crown. So we take off the tefillin before Musaf, because the Musaf we're going to say keser. Now, according to that, it would seem that we really, first of all, it should only apply to Nusach Sfarad. It shouldn't apply to Nusach Ashkenaz. And also, it should only apply after the Shtil Shemona Esrei, before the Chazaras Hashatz. It shouldn't apply. Why does it apply now? Why does it apply even then?
I'd like to take off the tefillin after the completion of Kaddish before Musaf Shemona Esrei.
What was that?
To take off my tefillin after the completion of Kaddish before Musaf.
Right.
Not like it's saying over here in the middle of the
Right. That seems to be our minig. Is to take it off after. Just want to see. Yeah, tam noisav lechalitza tefillin kaidem musaf kasav la'el adivrei Ramah shekasav shadavka mawakim shayim rebektusha keser yitnu lecha. Yesh lachlis is a tefillin kaidem musaf. Abir Mishnah Berurah kim shayim keser inachal keser tefillin sheyalav. Right. Va'afilu b'tfilas halachash. But the Ramah is Messiah over there that Lamaisa everywhere you take off the tefillin before musaf. And they do bring down the sheet of the Taz that b'makom she'ein oimrim keser they wouldn't take off the tefillin. But we do. We took it off. We take it off. Okay. Now, you just asked about this minig to take them off before Inuvalat Tzion. I saw a reason for that. I had seen a reason for that. Umashenogul lamahar b'chalitzas atfilin achrei hakadish b'hir b'shalat tshuva shevet alevi shukadei shalo yehefzik ben hakadish l'tfilah shmona esrei sha'av sha'hakadish musav alashri v'alatzin shalafan v'kamak b'tzarov v'tzfilah. See, he brings down here that the Magen Avram in Sif Katan Nun Tes says to take off the tefillin after Kaddish before Musaf, like you just said. So the reason why, he brings down here from the Eliyah Rabbah, that the reason why it says over here to take it off in Uvalat Tzion is not to make a hefsek between the Kaddish and the Musaf. The Kaddish goes on what came before it. The Kaddish is not going on what comes after it. But still, the words he uses here, but I want to look it up, is that since the Kaddish is tzarech hatfila, you don't want to be mafsik. I seem to remember another reason, and that is because we know always that there's an inyan of smichas geula l'tfila, and Kaddish is also geula, because what do we talk about in Kaddish, right? Yiskadel v'yiskadish shmei Rabba, amen yeh shmei Rabba. Well, so there's an aspect of geula in Kaddish, and we don't want to be mafsik between geula and tfila, and that's why we want to be memayit the hefsek. But our minig is to take it off after Rosh Chodesh before Musaf. All right, we'll have to stop over here.
So
everyone, have a wonderful Shabbos.
Sunday at 9:30.